Hi, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet, and on the call with me this morning I have Olivia Grisham, and we've only got a really short little agenda this morning, but we do have some poll questions for you. So if you have any questions that you need to ask us, please mark those in the pod below your check-in pod, and please make sure that you check in. And let's get rolling. Oh, okay. So if you've got a question about other, while we're talking about the dashboard, go ahead and start typing. All right, I'm going to move your screen over, Olivia.
Okay.
And make it big. All right, so Olivia's going to start talking about
the dashboards.
The dashboard.
Alrighty, so I'm quickly just going to go through the intake dashboard and cover some areas that we need to make sure we're getting cleaned up. Everything looks pretty good. You guys are doing a good job. We just have to make sure we stay on top of this because if we don't, we can get behind pretty quickly. So the first couple areas of the dashboard that we need to make sure customers don't get stuck in are these incomplete application older than 24 hours. We have 3 customers who have started filling out an application but have not completed it within the 24 hours. We just need to figure out if we need to get them back in to complete that application, or maybe they're not interested in participating in EPIC, and then we can go ahead and mark them appropriately for that. And then we also have this section for eligibility review. It is ready for review by DHS Casebreaker. We have 7 customers who have completed the application but have not went through the eligibility review process yet. I have noticed that a couple people, when customers are not recommended for any training program, we still have to check that not recommended for any training program box and fill out the bottom part of eligibility review and click save, or they'll still sit in this row because the system doesn't know that you've done anything or noticed that they haven't been recommended. So we need to make sure that we're getting those customers moved out through that process and down to consent. And then when we get down here to consent, this is where we have the numbers start getting a little bit higher and we really need to get them lower. So we have needs to be scheduled for consent. We have 22 customers that have went through the eligibility review process, but not the random assignment consent process. So we either need to mark them as not interested in participating in EPIC on eligibility review, or get them invited so they can finish the consent process to figure out if they get EPIC or SNAP for their group. And then we also have 5 customers who have missed the consent meeting. We need to make sure we're getting them back in, or they're doing what they need to do, either declining or participating, or they may need to go through conciliation. So just making sure we stay on top of those customers. And then down here, the not assigned as CBO, we actually are already working on these, so you guys don't have to do anything with these 3. We will take care of those. So that's all for the intake dashboard. Do you guys have any questions on any of those rows that we went over?
No, not about those. I've got a couple of other questions that we're going to have to answer in a little bit.
Okay. All right, so now we're looking at the intake projections. This is the statewide intake projections for everybody. As you can see, we're not quite to our target.
Oh, wait, there is a question. Marquise was typing. When you say not interested on the eligibility review page, do you mean declined?
Yeah, they declined EPIC services. And that's in the second section on that eligibility review page. The first part you go through and you check the boxes of the training programs they're interested in. And that second section you put whether they're SNAP eligible, not SNAP eligible, or not interested in EPIC. So you got to mark them on that page as not interested in EPIC or declined EPIC. I'm not sure what the exact wording is, but that's one of the 3 options.
And then they can be changed back if they come back in.
Yeah, and you'll just send an email to me or the EPIC Help Desk, and then we can move them back to SNAP eligible if we need to. Alrighty, so for the intake projections, you can see we're not to our average monthly assignment yet. We're getting there, but we really need to make sure that we are getting customers in through this orientation process and making sure we're getting good referrals to the CBOs. We're getting customers who really want to participate in training. They have a way that we can help them get to the training and that they're going to really flourish in this EPIC program. And that will help get our numbers up when we start focusing on these customers who are really interested in this EPIC training program. But everybody's doing good. We just need to really keep up the good work and make sure that we continue to get customers through the process and to the CBOs. Right. Any questions on the intake projections? Okay, I don't see anybody typing, so I'm going to go to the Enroll Dashboard now. There's just a few sections on the Enroll Dashboard that you guys need to keep an eye on. The first one is referral pending, no contact from customer, recommend conciliation. We have 128 customers who were no-shows for their initial appointment with the CBO. So the CBO goes to 2151 and no contact, and those get sent back to you guys to do the conciliation with.
And it's really important that you guys handle those within the time frame that is required by DHS so that that the customers can be conciliated in the appropriate amount of time. We are working really diligently at making sure that the CBOs are getting them uploaded, but then it is important that DHS follows through on their end. So please check this dashboard every day or at least twice a week to make sure that your customers aren't there. Olivia, your screen just went blank.
I'm not sure why it did that. The network connectivity was lost.
All right, I'll minimize yours and pull mine up.
Okay.
All right, so we were going to the enrolled dashboard.
Yes. And I can't see your screen either.
All right.
Because it'll stop working, so I'm just going to wing it, but I think I got it. So the referral rejected is the next row.
Okay, so we've got 6 people there.
So the 6 people in that referral rejected, those are customers who went to the CBO and for some reason or another they were ineligible to participate in that training program. It could have been because they didn't meet the minimum qualifications. Maybe it required that they pass a drug test and they were unable to do that. Or they could have just showed up to the CBO and said, I thought I wanted to do this training program, but I've thought about it and I would really rather do this other training program. Can you please send me back to DHS so I can get into the other one? And then the next section that we need to keep an eye on is the section under the 2151A client progress where it says DHS review recommends sanction. And we have 22 customers there that these customers have went through conciliation with the CBO, and they either did not attend that conciliation appointment or did not agree to the terms the CBO laid out, and thus they are being recommended for sanction and being sent back to DHS for that process. So do you guys have any questions about any of the dashboards or any of the numbers?
All right, we do have a question from the audience about how do we update WorkNet when a customer who has been assigned wants to opt out? Is that something we mark or is that the CBO? So Williamson, is it someone who is still eligible for DHS for SNAP? Okay, so then on the dashboard, what happens, and we do not advocate this, they can call to withdraw from the study, and then they would show up down here. But we do not want to encourage people to do that. The whole purpose of this program is to get them to self-sufficiency so that they no longer are reliant upon supplemental services or supplemental income. What they can do is they can, are you mandatory or voluntary county? I can't remember. All right, so if they stop participating with EPIC, they have to do something, as you know, or else they can be sanctioned. So it's an opportunity for them to continue with EPIC. Let's talk about that particular one after the call. Can I give you a call? Tell me who I got to call. Okay. All right. Brandy, I'll reach out to you after we're done here. Your second question is if the customer has been assigned and they are now exempt, they can still participate in the program, but what you would do is you would go to a customer's profile, and I'm in test right now. You would go to a customer's profile. Come on, baby, switch for me. Test knows it's Friday. It's tired. It doesn't want to work. And you would update SNAP eligibility status to SNAP eligible and exempt, not receiving TANF. Then if they're not going to participate, you would want to probably alert the CBO and let them know so that they're not going to recommend the customer for sanction for non-participation. Then if the customer becomes viable again and is no longer medically SNAP, CBO uploaded the medical release on WorkNet. Okay, so the CBO knows. All right, so then you might need to have a conversation with the CBO about what you're going to do with them and the customer for the 2151A and whether or not they need to exit the customer from the program as an unsuccessful completion. How about if we talk about both of these after the call? Oh, okay. All right. Let's go on to talking about the EPIC program, pilot program resources. One of the things that we have been hearing about from across the state for different things is that some customers are appealing their sanctions. And the sanctions for non-participation, all of those kind of things with the EPIC program. So what we've done is we've created a new procedure. It is right here in appealing a sanction with EPIC participants. We also have updated the conciliation process procedure for the CBOs. What this boils down to is this document, and it is in the file pod that's below the chat pod. What we need for you guys to do, if you hear of an appeal coming through on a sanction that has happened and it is related to an EPIC customer, we need you to put a case note on the customer profile in EPIC that notifies the CBO primary contact of the date and time of the appeal hearing. We need you to then review all of the uploaded documents and case notes leading to the point of sanction, and then advise the CBO staff which, if any of the 2151A documents need to be updated to include proper notes in the comment section and then re-uploaded. CBO staff will indicate in the description of the document what is being replaced, what the document is replacing. So in the notes section of the uploads, let me show you where that is. So the notes section right here, they'll put a note in there about which document that they're replacing. And then all paperwork must be complete and up to date prior to the appeal hearing. So my suggestion to you is, I know in Cook County we're working on getting a monthly staffing going, and so this might not be as much of a problem in Cook County as it could potentially be in the rest of the state. But when you are reviewing the EPIC Enrollment Dashboard, take a look at the areas here where the arrows are. Anything that's in yellow and anything that's in the red section is a concern of yours because it's a potential item that could be sanctioned and then could cause problem down the road. So if it says no longer appropriate for provider services, that's one option, but they will be discussing that with you, and there's probably a good reason, like maybe there was an incident that happened. But if any of these other 2151As show up with situation worse, no progress, minimal progress, then you need to be talking to your CBO about what's going on and is there a potential sanction coming up. Make sure that the paperwork, work with them to make sure that the paperwork is appropriately completed so that you won't have to worry about losing an appeal. The other thing is, I had a conversation with one of the DHS supervisors out the other day, and if a customer has a 2151A uploaded 2 months in a row where it says no progress or situation worse, that, I think, would require some staffing or a conciliation meeting, because if the customer is still not meeting their 80 hours a month, there's a reason, and you should be having a conversation with that CBO and the customer to try to figure out how you can make it improve for that customer, because our whole goal is to help the customers. Any questions about any of that? Okay. I'm going to minimize my screen here, and I'm going to minimize Olivia's, and I'm going to pull up a couple of poll questions for you. So if you can, and I don't have the answers showing right now, so if you can answer these questions for us, it will help us understand what you guys understand. Chris, what do you mean by clarity from the CBO needs to happen? Better case notes? Okay, better case notes. All right. Well, it looks like everybody's getting the right answer for what do you say to the potential EPIC customers who have children. And it looks like we've got most of the people getting the right answer for if they're over 49. And it looks like we've got more people than not that are getting the right answer for the disability. So we're going to give you one more second here to answer, because we've got 36 people on the call, but we don't have all that many answers. And if you're discussing it as a group because you're on the call as a group, that's okay. All right, so we're going to end the poll on the over 49 and broadcast the results. So can you guys see the answers? So if they're over 49, they can participate as a volunteer. And what do you say to customers who have children? And we're going to broadcast the results here. As long as they do not receive TANF in their household, they can volunteer. Now, there is a little tricky part about the TANF in the household. If the mother is still receiving TANF, but the 19-year-old has aged out of the TANF case, the 19-year-old can receive EPIC services, but the mother could not. And then what do you say to a customer who has a disability? We're going to broadcast those results. They can volunteer in the EPIC program. So that's just a couple of things there for you to think about. Share that information with your other employees in the area, in the offices. And now we've got a couple other poll questions that I want to pull up. And somebody answered one, it looks like, or else I hit it when I was trying to. And then we've got one other poll question that I want to pull up. All right. Thank you, Caesar. We forgot about using these on a regular basis. So we're going to try and bring them back every once in a while when we don't have a big agenda. How often are you in contact with your CBOs about EPIC customers? Now, obviously, it's not every customer every day, but you guys can't see the answers yet, but you're going to laugh. Second question, are you talking about the Social Security one, Chris? You've got a couple of different answers that are correct. That's why I left it as a multiple answer. So I'm going to, all right, we've got, how often are you in contact? Now, this is just a gauge here. How often are you in contact? It's not something that's necessarily required, and the supervisors may be doing this more frequently than just the caseworkers. But that is something I would say I would try to be in touch with at least one of them, depending on how many you're working with. I would try to be in touch with one of them every day so that you're covering them at least every other week, all of them, just to touch base. Now, once we start doing staffings in Cook County on a regular basis, you'll touch base with them at least once a month. But out in the rest of the state, you guys should be talking too, and talking about the tough customers, in addition to talking about the ones that are moving forward, progressing. How are they going to be transitioned from point A to point B after they get out of training. All right, I'm going to end that poll. All right, Olivia, do you want to do the honors of the Social Security number one?
Sure.
So let's see who, now wait a minute. We've got multiple choice answers, and there's 36 people on the call, but I'm looking at
24.
I'm not looking at enough answers. See, I can see how many of you are answering this question right now. So I know all of y'all aren't answering it. So we got a few more answers coming up from me trying to shame you guys, but come on, answer the question. Oh, Tracy's typing at me. And that's fine. That's fine. But you only, oh, you called in as 2 different calls. Okay. That's fine. But still, I should have more than 14 answers in one of the questions that's the right answer. All right. I'm going to end the poll. So now, can you guys still see the answers if I end the poll? Now I'm going to broadcast the results. All right. So now, Olivia, talk about these answers.
Okay. So we have quite a few really good answers in there. We have a couple that are a little off, but so for EPIC, if the SSN is wrong in EPIC, you'll call EPIC, which will be me or Dee or Deidre, and we can get it fixed in that system. But if it's wrong in EPIS, if you call us, EPIC, we can't help fix that. If it's wrong in EPIS, we don't have access to their system. And vice versa, EPIS doesn't have access to the EPIC system.
So the correct answers are the first answer, the fourth answer, and what about if it doesn't sync? A lot of you didn't answer that question. At least the people that answered it the right way. If it doesn't sync and they were assigned to SNAP, you still need to call to correct the Social Security number. And Olivia, do you want to tell them why? Olivia must have lost her phone or else she's on mute. But the reason is we have numbers that come together with the system, with the EPIS system. And Deidre and Areli and Lisa and Erica work really, really, really hard to make sure that those numbers sync properly so that what the study people say that we have assigned and the dashboard that we have say are assigned appropriately. So it's really important that even if they are assigned to SNP ENT and they don't sync, that you make sure that you have the Social Security numbers correct in the system so that they do sync. All right, I have a feeling that we lost Olivia because she lost her screen. I think we also lost their phone line right now. So if anybody has any other questions, please type those into the chat pod. Williamson County, Brandy, I'm going to call you in a few minutes. If you don't hear from me, that means I haven't been able to find your phone number. So call me back, and it's 708-822-2152. Okay, great. Thank you, Brandy. All right. Olivia thinks her phone crashed, so everybody have a great rest of your day. We're going to end the recording. We'll see you next week on the 10th at 10. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Have a good weekend, everybody.